Alright, so today I'm going to talk about hosting Next.js and Strapi CMS on a Digital Ocean Droplet with a Plesk server, which is pretty much a hosting app, kind of like cPanel. So let me just show you my setup. Here at Cyberize, we have two staging Digital Ocean Droplets. The first one we use for Docker-based installs, and the second one, which is a little bit larger one, this is where we host our WordPress sites, other React applications, and this is what I'm going to use to host my Next.js and Strapi backend. Now, this is where I maintain the DNS for the droplet, and this is the Plesk server. That's where all these sites are already hosted, some React apps, some WordPress apps, and I use all subdomains because it's staging anyway. But even if you have regular domains, setup is exactly the same. You can just follow step by step what I'm about to show you. That being said, as the WordPress application and React apps, Next.js and Strapi, those are independent servers. We cannot host those using the regular Plesk. So what we have to do is first we have to SSH into the DigitalOcean box like this right here. And if I can do a lsltr, this is a Ubuntu server, by the way. As you can see, here's a Next folder and a Strapi folder. This is where I have the installations for this current demo, but in production though I do follow this kind of structure. Under the main folder, app_hosting, then Next apps and Strapi apps, and also to maintain them I use a separate user account, not really the root, so that it's easily maintainable and security also can be managed. But for demo's sake, I set up this under the root user. And here, if you can see, if I hit PM2 status, and you'll see that I have currently 2 Strapi servers and 1 Next.js app running. And why this, we'll get into it a little bit later. At this point, let's just see what we have under the Next folder. Okay, so here we have the actual application folder, and under SH I have the application update script and startup shutdown that I will eventually add, and I will go over this update for automated script later. But these guys are just the backup folders, so whenever I launch script from here, they create these folders and back up the old one and get the new one from the GitHub. Right. So that being said, let's go see what is next. So here, next I have to install the Git. Use the sudo apt update and sudo apt install Git like that, and then we check the Git version. And once the Git is installed, we can just get our Next app from the repo. So here, let's check git -- version. Alright, so we have 2.34 running right now, and once Git is installed, then the next step would be installing NVM or Node Version Manager. This is the command to get the NVM installed, and this is the command for activating it, and this takes care of the paths and everything. And once that is installed, then we can install the NVM install node. Once this is installed, we can just install node using this command, and within NVM we can install any version we like at any point. Just Google this and you'll see very many ways to use NVM, right? So now let's check what's happening in here. Okay, so we have 16.20 installed for Node, and the next step would be, by now, using the git clone command, we would get the application cloned, just like I did here. This is a cloned application from my GitHub account, and once that's done, you go into the application folder, run an npm install, get all the dependencies done, then npm run build to build the application, and then before you start, just go into the package.json to make sure the port you want is there. And at this point, we're going to be changing the default port, and I recommend that we do it at the development time. So let me just first go inside Next, and then let's go to the application. Let's clear it. Let's see what we have, and let me do a cat on JSON. All right. So here, if you look, this part, on the script part, this I recommend that you do during development time, as I always do, because that way during deployment you don't have to worry about which port you are starting the application on. And having the custom port, what it does is it will allow you to run as many instances of application as you like. I mean, as many different applications. For example, if I have 3 or 4 different Next applications, I would go with during development time I would go like 4001, 4002, 4003, like that. So it will always be ready. So when I git clone it, they will always be there with the right port already available. So that way, whenever we go run this command npm start, the build version will run using that specific port, and it will be clear why later on, that how we can capitalize on this multiple ports, right? So, but at this point, when you run the start, what's going to happen is, for example, if I run something here, right? If I run an application here and then I get rid of this window, what's going to happen is that server will go down with this console, right? Because if you run it here, it's going to be attached to this session only. So for that reason, we have to go and get a PM2 or Process Manager version 2 installed. That way, we can run using this command. We can start the Next.js application, and what's going to happen that way is this. Let's say if I do PM2 again and status, and we get to see all the applications running, and they are running in the back end as a process. So no matter how many times I get rid of this console, it's not going to bother it. They're going to keep on running. As you can see, this application has been running for 3 months. This is 42 days. And this one I just recently restarted, so a few minutes. So now let's go see a few extra commands for PM2 that will be very helpful to manage your applications and hosting. So this you will run to stop the process, to list or see the process list, clearing the whole process and the from the list, and this would be to restart the application, right? And after all that's said and done, what's going to happen is, since Plesk has a firewall going, so all those custom ports are going to be closed. So what you have to do to open them is come here and go under Tools and Settings, then go to under Security, go to Firewall, and as you can see here, all my other application that I'm running, so you can just go click on or create one like that with the name on it, and then TCP port 5000 or 4000 or 13000, whatever you need. You're going to be opening that specific port, and only once that is done, you can see that the application will show up like that. Otherwise, this port will be closed. You'll never get to this application that you just started, right? And here's also another thing to notice is that if you run it this way, you cannot have the SSL or HTTPS going, because it is not possible to run those when you're running on a specific port. So that means you're going to have to. That's why this next step is creating a DNS record, and that's when you go to this place and create the whatever DNS you know necessary, right? It's just like, for example, the one I'm currently running is cyberdining.cyberizestaging.com. So once that is created, then set up the site in Plesk and add SSL. Okay, let me just show you that. So what needs to happen now? Let's go back there. I'm not going to really create one, but I'm just going to go through the steps. Like, for example, you have to go, like, let's say if it's a subdomain, then you click on subdomain, and then you put in the subdomain name here. Actually, to be able to show you the whole process, I actually have to create something. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say YouTube, right? YouTube, and then I'm gonna create it inside Cyberize Plesk and create the record. All right, so now I have a subdomain. Let's copy that and go back here, and if I just paste it, so at this point all I need is the first part, and then hit OK. It's going to go through its necessary steps, and all right, yeah, okay. So we have our subdomain set up, but to get the subdomain ready with SSL, I'm going to have to go here, even though it says it will be fixed automatically, but it normally doesn't. So once you go here, you have to pick out this one. This is the free one. Let's encrypt, install, keep everything default, and this one checked. I don't really mess with the other ones, so get it free. It's going to take a little bit of time. All right, so now it is already certificate issued, and we go back here, and under this SSL, it's safe and sound, right? So it's okay. And how you test it is by going here, saying youtube.cyberizestaging.com. Boom, there you go. So it's gonna just give you the default page, but look, SSL is already installed, right? So this is what you do to get this DNS or the subdomain ready with SSL. And the next step would be to set up a Nginx reverse lookup. And what's going to happen is, once you do that, we no longer have to access your application like this with port and not secured. You should be able to reach like this. You know what I just created, like youtube.cyberizestaging.com, right? So just like that, my application also, I created this subdomain, and this is where I had to set up that Nginx reverse lookup. So let's go try that. So to do that, we're gonna need one piece of code, which is this. This is very crucial, and this is exactly where you're gonna be putting in the URL you need. For example, if you go here, this is the URL. See, this is the HTTP, whatever the DNS name, the port number. And if you look at here, so whatever you just installed, you're going to use this piece of code and change this and the port number, and go back here, and let's say I just want to set up the latest one, which is the YouTube, right there, right? So I'll go there, and then I'll go hosting and DNS, and then Apache and Nginx, and this is where, and it's very important to remember to uncheck this guy, proxy mode, because otherwise Plesk will put its own little stuff in there. So you have to uncheck this one so that it knows you're gonna need a custom setup, and this is the place you're going to grab this guy, and this is where you're going to be pasting that piece of code, right? So I'm not gonna do anything because we don't really have anything going on this one, but I'm just gonna show you. Let's go back to the original setup, or all the whole list of domains and stuff that I have, and this is my application. So I just wanted to show you what exactly happening here. And if you look at this URL, you can see right here, this is the same URL, cyberdining.cyberizestaging.com. And here, if I go to DNS hosting Apache, and if I keep going down, as you can see, the proxy mode is unchecked, and this is where I pasted my configuration, and this is where I actually have the app URL with the specific port number. So what's going to happen is anytime that DNS is accessed, this will take over and redirect it to this setup right here, something that's running on this port. And one little quirk we have is that once you uncheck this guy, right, make sure you save it. You absolutely have to save it before you paste this. This is a very crucial and very important part, because it's going to look everything normal, but you uncheck this, then you paste it and hit OK, and it's not going to work. I mean, I spend hours finding out, what the heck was wrong. But the bottom line was, first you uncheck this, then you save it, and that's when Plesk is ready for a custom setup. Then you paste this, change your URL, hit OK, apply. Boom. So only then what happens is this portion takes over, and you get to see your application up and running right here. And at this point, since you already set up this domain or subdomain with SSL, your application will show up with SSL too. And no matter what you do, you keep using it, no problem, everything is fine. All right, and next would be a Strapi. Everything you saw, before, everything was just the same steps. Only thing is, when I do Strapi, I don't really get it from the GitHub. I just install it, with regular, using the node install and Strapi, and all the setups are, exactly the same. Only thing is this port number, right? So for the port, let me clear it. And let me go to, actually just go to CD, then Strapi. And under here, let's go to, all right. So once you get to your Strapi installation, you need to go under config. And then this is the file you need to edit. Server.js, and this is where, as you can see here, one of my Strapi is running on a 5000 port, because we know the default port is 1337, right? So let's say if I say pm2 status, you can see we have two Strapis, right? Only way it is possible is because one is running on port 5000, the other one is the default port 1337. So just by editing this configuration, you can have, like, let's say you want to have 4 more, right? So you can give them port 5001, 2, 3, 4, and each of them, will be starting just fine using this command. Oh, by the way, once you do make the change, please make sure you do a npm run dev. You always do this, you recompile the whole thing, you rebuild the whole Strapi server. That's a must. Do install Strapi. Do not forget to run that, because if you don't, you're not gonna be able to access the admin panel. Don't ask me why, but that's the case. Please make sure you do a full build, and once you make that build, then you come here and make sure that before the pm command, run develop. This is the development server if you want to run, and if you want to run the production server, this is the one. This is the command. But make sure you use this port equals whatever port is necessary, right? And the reason being, this is an environment variable, and on a server you have to be specific you have to let this guy know which environment variable to use specifically, because if you don't, it might take a default one from any other application that you installed before, and it's going to create a big mess, right? And then boom, it's going to be, you know, showing your Strapi server like that. Like for example, if I take this Strapi, and boom, I get to go and see, I clicked on open the admin, and admin came up, right? But this, I mean, you can probably reach here, but you can never start this if you don't do a npm run dev. Basically, if you don't rebuild the application, you can never reach it. I mean, this is the current issue that I have with Strapi v4, just letting you know. So, and all that being said, let me show you something a little bit extra. Like now look at this application. It's just a basic structure and only these two navigations, right? So what I'm about to do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you by going under the next and going under sh. This is the update command. This is an automation script that I use to for continuous deployment, right? When I develop something, I push it to the GitHub server, and then I run this guy, and what it does is, you know, here's my variables all set, and this will just go out there. You know, first it will create a backup folder, as you saw before, these guys, right? BK with the date or timestamp. It will create it, folder, and then it will stop and remove the service that it is in, you know, you actually put it in here, right? For example, here I have cyber dining next. This is my service, so it's gonna go ahead and stop this one and remove from the list, and go ahead and back it up under that timestamp folder, and then it's gonna go and go to the repo, grab the new Next.js application from the GitHub, bring it in, install the dependency by running, you know, npm install, and then run the build, npm run build, and then use this command, the pm2 command, and launch a, you know, status, right? Let's see if we can run this. Okay, /. All right. So, and remember, it has only two navigation, right? Let's say this is version 1, and if I run this, boom. See, already the service is gone. It turned it off. Now it went ahead and cloned it, and now installing dependencies. The whole process is pretty fast. Look, it already created a build. Oh, actually, it just you know, installed the dependencies, and now it's creating the build. So let's see. All right, boom. It finished it, and it went ahead and restarted the server, right? Look at that. So now, if I go and do a refresh, look at that. Now it has this additional nav. This was not present before. See, this is actually went ahead. Before we had only these two and this homepage. Now we have this and all this stuff. That means it just went ahead and updated our application, and we didn't have to do anything but run a script. And that's it, my friends. Hopefully you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.